All right, good morning. This is Dele Ayemibo, and you're on to another edition of the Import-Export platform brought to you by 3Timpest Trade Academy, Facebook Live. We are discussing this morning A to Z of export business financing, part 18, and we'll zoom our lens on warehouse financing. Enoch Ejukolem, thank you very much for joining. Good morning. We'll zoom our lens on warehouse financing. Warehouse financing. We've looked at different types of financing in the past, and we have actually talked about warehouse financing. I'll just be talking a little bit more in details about it today. I'm hoping that in about 2 days, we should be done with the A to Z of export business financing, and then that will mean we end at part 20 and then we will move on to a new different topic entirely. It's a different topic entirely. So we'll do the yardstick for export finance readiness, and then we end up with we will do timeline, rather straight timelines, a straight transaction timeline, and then yardstick for export finance readiness. Those are the two new sessions we're going to do under the A to Z of export business financing before we now move on to a new topic which I will announce later on. So today we'll be looking at warehouse financing using goods as collateral. Warehouse financing using goods as collateral. Warehouse financing is a type of pre-export financing that enables banks to use goods to be exported as collateral. You know, when you're trying to get financing from a bank as an exporter, and you want to avoid a situation where the bank will be asking for collateral, if you are doing pre-export financing, and you have some part of the money available with you, it's actually possible for you to avoid completely issue of collateral, but providing what is called equity contribution, and then you do the warehouse financing. Peter Omeike, thank you very much for joining. Good morning. So warehouse financing is a type of pre-export financing. It enables banks to use goods as collateral. So banks use the goods as collateral. So banks are comfortable to go ahead with the transaction because the goods can easily be used as collateral. Banks are comfortable to go ahead with the transaction because they can easily use the goods as collateral. But before you start this transaction, you will have provided equity contribution. So typically, you should bring the equity contribution in goods. That's what I recommend, even though some bank will want you to bring the money into the account. And when you bring the money into the account, from there now, they add their own part of the money and then begin to disburse for the transaction. But my take is, look, let's do equity contribution in a way that the customer himself, by customer I mean the exporter itself, will bring some part of the goods to the bank. Now, the reason why he's bringing the part of the goods to the bank is this. The challenge is this. We need to be sure this exporter is going to be able to perform. We need to be sure this exporter will be able to deliver as expected. So we are expecting that the exporter will bring the goods to the warehouse. What are we trying to achieve? When he uses his own equity contribution to bring the goods to the warehouse, it makes it easier to confirm that, number one, he can source this product or he can manufacture the goods or procure the goods. Number two, he can get the right quality and the quantity and within the time expected. So before the bank begins to spend his own money, there is a level of comfort given by the fact that this guy has been able to demonstrate his own equity by bringing some part of the goods physically to the warehouse. But remember, the goods is going to be used as collateral. So the implication of that is that the bank is going to use it If the bank is used as collateral, the bank is going to get someone to man that warehouse, otherwise called the collateral manager. The collateral manager. So this means that an exporter without a legal mortgage or other form of property can still get pre-export financing from the bank. Warehouse financing or warrant financing or structured trade finance allow an exporter who has an equity but does not have a legal mortgage, does not have any form of property that's acceptable to the bank, to use as collateral, but such an individual can still get funding from the bank. However, the payment risk must be secured with trade finance instruments like letter of credit or demand guarantee in order to give the bank the needed comfort. Now, warehouse financing, export transaction or trade transaction generally, especially export, is broadly classified into two in terms of risk. Two: payment risk, performance risk. Payment risk, performance risk. Payment risk is the risk on the export in the importer's country after the good has been shipped for payment to come in. Performance risk is the risk in the exporter's country, the risk that is of the exporter being unable to ship the good as at when due, or is shipping the right quality, low quality, or shipping not enough quantity as expected, or shipping at the wrong time, late, very, very late. Now, when we do warrant financing, we basically are able to significantly take care of the payment, the performance risk, the risk of being able to ship on time and in time, the right quality and quantity. Mickey Ogbaisi, thank you very much for joining. Good morning. So we are able to reasonably reduce significantly or reasonably reduce the risk of performance, but there is still a risk outstanding, and that's the risk of payment. So warehouse finance or warehouse financing, we basically take care of performance, ensure that the bank money is not lost, ensure that the good that is delivered for right quality and right quantity, ensure that the good is protected, and ensure that the good is shipped as at when due. However, it's very possible that we ship this good and we still don't get the payment as at when due. To prevent the risk of payment from happening, then we have the second leg, which is the payment risk mitigation. So in this case now, even though it's warrant or warehouse financing, in this case, you are now going to be getting a payment method that is secured. And if you're going to get a secure payment method, you are getting open account or bill for collection, then of course you want to ensure that you get a payment guarantee or a standby letter of credit to protect against the risk of not getting paid. To protect against the risk of not getting paid. In this type of financing, the exporter uses its equity to deliver the goods to a designated warehouse manned by collateral manager appointed by the bank. Let me talk a little bit about collateral manager. We've had a lot of issues and cases around collateral manager. Collateral manager is basically an individual hired by the bank to be in charge of the goods that the bank is financing. So he's taking custody of the good on behalf of the bank until he gets further instruction from the bank. And we've had cases where the staff of this collateral manager are compromised, and eventually, even though the collateral manager is assigned, we are still not sure of the quality of the item being shipped, or there is still theft in the warehouse, or there is swapping of goods in the warehouse. Now, because of this, banks sometimes don't want to do transactions that involve warehouse financing. And here is my take on this. When there is a will, there is a way. What I discover in Nigeria is that the management willingness, banks' management willingness to finance export is weak. The willingness of bank management to finance export is weak. Understandably so. They've lost money in the past. So I can understand. But considering how important, how essential, how vital export is to us, to Nigeria, to Africa, to West Africa, to Africa, and to the world in general, we need to go beyond the norm and find solutions. Just the way banks have provided solutions in the past to some of the challenges that have confronted them in other areas. Today we have mastered import financing well enough because we lost a lot of money as banks, and we are able to provide solutions because oil and gas is a major cash cow for the bank. And they've lost a lot of money, and because they still want to finance it because of the opportunities there, they found solution and they've reduced the risk significantly. What I'm saying is this, that there is a risk in export financing. Is not enough for banks not to be interested or not to support that sector. Which is why I need to commend the CBN governor for the retreat that was done last year in December, where all the bank MD were in one room for 2 days discussing extensively this same issue of financing export. And the idea of CBN is this. We have three major ways that our foreign reserve is being funded heavily. Three major ways. Number one, foreign direct investment. Number two, foreign portfolio investment. Number three, export proceed. But he found out that, the objective rather is that they want to ensure that the export proceed, which is the only source of foreign exchange earning that we have control over, is more than foreign direct investment and foreign portfolio investment that we don't have direct over. Foreign direct investment, foreign portfolio investment are going to come into your country because the people like you, because they will make profit, because they want to deal with you. You know what? When they perceive risk, challenges, issue in your country, they pull out and run away. So you have to find a way to generate your own foreign exchange to oil your economy by looking to other sources of generating forex. And know out of the major source of generating foreign exchange, the one that any country always have control over is export proceeds, because you will decide to export. You will decide to export. Caleb Afwakwe, thank you very much for joining. Good morning. You will decide to export. You will be the one to decide to export. But in foreign portfolio investment, foreign direct investment, someone else will decide if he wants to invest in your country. Why will you leave the destiny of the growth and advancement of your country in the hand of the decision of a foreigner? And that was why this was done. For banks to begin to fund export, support export, do all they can to grow export. So I want to make a recommendation on one of the challenges that banks face on one of the challenges that banks face on regarding warehouse financing, collateral manager. And you know what happened? Because of the fraudulent act of some collateral manager, they get discouraged. And here is my take. Do you know some banks in Nigeria today, they don't hire private security company. They have their own security company. They have their own building. They have their own bullion van. They have their own, even insurance. What I'm trying to say is this. If there is a will, there is a way. What my recommendation to bank on this is create your own collateral manager system. Not necessarily incorporating an entity, but let your staff hired be the one to be in charge. Train them in that act. They can take, just the way your IT also do shift, they can do shift at the warehouse and take picture regularly and get regular update, live update, daily to the head office. So that at the end of the day, you don't have the fear of the fact that because the staff of this organization are not well paid collateral managers, then they can be influenced, they can be lured and this and that. Enoch, Edu Column, thank you very much for joining us back. I think we lost that before. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that the fact that there's an issue with collateral manager, third-party collateral manager, cannot be a reason or challenge why we should not fund export. That cannot be a valid reason. When there's a will, there's a way. There's always a way around solving these problems. What I discovered about funding of export in Nigeria is the fact that, when you want to do something and you don't know so much about it, you want to fund a project, you don't know so much about it, you will look for all avenues you can imagine to block every leakages. But when you know what to do, you go to where the issue are likely going to happen and fix it. At the end of the day, you don't create unnecessary blockade and obstacles on the path of the progress of the transaction, because you have a good understanding of how it should work. So you be saying you want to do warehouse financing and saying the person still have to bring a legal mortgage because you have concern about the warehouse financing. But there are ways around that warehouse financing to mitigate the risk. So just the way we have done on import, I'm challenging the bankers. Let's find a way to fix the problem on the export side. And by the way, we have enough training to help you on this regard and give you ideas also on what you can do to be able to make that work. But what I'm going to say in essence is that warehouse financing is a good way to ensure trade transaction is done, especially financing exporters who do not have collateral, but they are ready to have a skin in the game. Because if you are using collateral for a particular trade transaction, typically the 100% or 130% value as collateral. But when you are doing equity, you are producing percentage, and it's in cash or in goods that you are making available while the bank fund the rest. In this type of financing, exporter uses its equity to deliver the goods to the designated warehouse manned by a collateral manager appointed by the bank. Upon confirmation of the quality and quantity, the value of the good and value of the good delivered, the bank release funds no more than the value of the goods delivered to the exporter, no more than the value of the goods delivered with the exporter equity to the exporter to deliver another batch of goods to the warehouse. The cycle of release of funds and deliveries continue for more batches of goods to build up stock to the level needed for exportation. What exactly are we saying? So this exporter now is going to ship goods worth 10 million. He has 2.5. He has used 2.5 to bring the material to the warehouse already. Having brought the material to the warehouse based on the 2.5 that he has, he is able to, the bank is able to confirm quality and quantity. A warrant is issued by the collateral manager in favor of the bank. On the strength of the warrant, the bank can easily do another funding. The bank can easily do another funding. And the bank will do the second funding, the exporter brings it to the warehouse. The bank do the third funding, the exporter brings it to the warehouse. The bank do the fourth funding or the last funding, and the exporter brings it to the warehouse. As soon as he delivers all of them, the good is now ready for shipment. And the shipment also will be done in tranches. Why? Because we might not need to ship the goods at once, depending on what the buyer or the agreement you have with the buyer. You might not want to ship goods at once, depending on the agreement you have with the buyer. But any quantity that is being shipped at any particular point in time, that is the amount the bank expects payment to come for. But the beauty of this transaction is that the bank then can ensure that the collateral manager delivers the goods to an agent that the bank appoints, that the bank will pay. And when the agent ships the goods, he will deliver the document to the bank. The bank then sends it to the buyer's bank. The buyer's bank checks the quality of the document for discrepancies. If it's in order, the buyer's bank effects payment. The buyer's bank effects payment. The buyer's bank effects payment. The exporter does not repay the facility until the goods are shipped, and the payment from the buyer is used to liquidate the loan. The exporter only pays for the goods that have been moved out of the warehouse for shipment. This type of financing is therefore very useful for exporters of agri-commodities who have very, very small capital, we have small capital and a very small window of harvest season to buy and stockpile during this period, and then continue exportation in tranches afterward when the harvest season must have been over. Currently, cashew nut is in season. So a cashew nut supplier who needs funds from the bank now, we want to get that more fund to stockpile in the warehouse, and then begin to ship in tranches. So he can stockpile between February and March. By April, May, we start shipping, and it's shipping at a good rate, because then the local prices are going up and the export price also begin to go up, and then he's able to sell at a higher or reasonable price. And this is a summary of how the warehouse financing work. Number one, remember, there is deposit of commodities to the warehouse by the exporter himself. When the good is delivered to the warehouse, the bank appoints a collateral manager who will check quality, quantity, worthiness of the goods, and a number of other factors, depending on the agreement between buyer and seller. The inspection agent then check the quality of the goods. Sometimes the warehousing, the collateral manager can be able to check, but it's better use a third party acceptable to the buyer to do the checking of the quality of the goods being shipped. When the quality of the good now is checked and the quality is released, and the report is released, a warehouse receipt or warrant receipt is issued by the collateral manager in the warehouse to confirm that I have received the goods. The quantity of the good is this amount. The quality is this amount. It tells that in the warehouse receipt, sent to the bank and sometimes to the farmer. Based on the warehouse receipt delivered to the bank by the collateral manager, the bank is able to make funding available for the exporter, who then go again to go and buy another set of goods. Like I said, this cycle of purchase, confirming quality, releasing fund continues until the total quantity expected is there, right there in the warehouse. As soon as this is done, complete, the bank then arrange for the shipment of the goods. Now I'm taking my time to explain this because this is a model that can help you get financing from the bank without a physical collateral legal mortgage, but making available just a little, a part payment of a part funding of the goods of the shipment by way of equity contribution, and then you have a guaranteed source of repayment on the other side by way of letter of credit, standby letter of credit, or demand guarantee. Letter of credit, standby letter of credit, or demand guarantee. You are watching Import-Export platform, Facebook Live from 3D Invest Trade Academy, and my name is Dele Ayemibo. We are on part 18 of A to Z of export business financing. And today, what we have examined, I've looked at, is warehouse financing. I'll be rounding off now while I prepare for the evening session. Remember, we come up twice a day, 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Prepare for the evening session, and tonight, or this evening, we'll be discussing part 19. And in part 19, we'll be extraying the timelines. Extraying timelines involved in a typical export transaction and the implication of those timelines. And then tomorrow morning we will round off finally, and we'll be discussing the yardstick for export finance readiness. The yardstick for export finance readiness. We've been discussing the export finance for a while now, and I would like to read some quotes to you. Still on financing. Quality is the key to sustainability of the product in the export market. Don't compromise it. Quality is the key to the sustainability of your product in the export market. Don't compromise it. When your quality is compromised, it's not you that is affected. It affects not just you, but other people in your country. Before you finance an export transaction as a bank, check the higher level of money possessed by the client. Not just the cash, but the credibility, the character, the competence, and the companion. Okay, my colleague Caleb has just dropped for you the link to our book, A to Z of Export Business Financing. This is the most practical book that you can actually find on export financing in Africa. And you can pick it up on Jumia. It's A to Z of Export Business Financing. The link is right there for you. Now look at another quote on export financing. It says, when requesting for export finance, don't expect the banks and indeed any financier to bear the risk that you are not willing to participate in. If there are real risks that you are not willing to participate in, please don't expect the bank to be the one to bear that risk. Are you thinking of a way to mitigate payment and performance risk in export finance transactions? Then think demand guarantee. Here's another quote of mine. And all these quotes, you can find them in the A to Z of Export Business Financing. Thinking of speedy approval of your future export finance transaction. Then keep a good detailed record and detailed record of your previous export transaction today. You want a speedy processing your financing of export tomorrow, then think of today detailed documentation. Keep your documentation today. Keep the detail of your transaction today, and you make it easier for you to be financed by a bank tomorrow. Are you thinking of minimizing the essence of your risk and cost in delivery of goods in export transaction? Then you need to master Incoterm 2010. Many export finance facilities go bad because of focus on performance of exporters and payment by importer at the expense of the polity and the policies of the country. Many export finance facilities go bad because of the focus on performance of exporter and payment by the importer at the expense of the polity and the policies of the country where the good is going into. If you fail to know your customer and the business the customer do, you might be forced to close your business due to the likelihood of aiding and abetting trade-based money laundering. Letter of credit is both a payment security and also a tool for documentary fraud in export trade transactions. So use it with caution. All risks can be identified and mitigated in export financing. Inability to block the loophole is often due to knowledge gap. If you can finance a first-timer in any project, then you can finance a first-timer in export project, but not a first-timer in doing business. Overseas representative enhances security of payment and sustainability of the business in the export market. Telling the bank about it boost your chance of getting export financing. All right, so we'll end up here today. Remember, we've talked about A to Z of export business financing. Part 18, we discussed warehousing, and this program is brought to you by 3 Thimpers Trade Academy. And my name is Dele Ayimibo. See you in the evening by 6 p.m. Have a good day at work.